Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Today is Wednesday, September 10th, and we're back for another episode of Web3 101 Wednesday. We are so glad to have you here for your crypto questions, helpful news, commentary, anything else that might come up. And today, I am pleased to announce that we are joined by our friend and community member, Mr. Matthew Wiley. Matthew, thank you so much for making time to be on the show. How the heck are you, man?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here. Some of you might know me from the Discord and Circle community, but for those of you that don't, my name is Matthew Wiley. I am a fourth-year college student at the University of Cincinnati studying business analytics and finance. And I'm very, very pumped to be on the show.
And he's the new Will Watson.
Oh, yes.
Oh, gosh. You would be surprised, Matthew, how many people want to be the new Will Watson. I hear it all the time. So you're in good company, man.
Yeah, I was one of those people, so I get it. Trust me. Who wouldn't?
I mean, you got some nice hair going on. You got some glowing skin. I think youth is helping you here. Will, if you're watching, I don't know, man. I don't know. might be time to get nervous. How are you guys doing today? Alex, you were having some dog shenanigans before the show, yeah?
Always. Yeah. Just that's how the mornings go. But no, we're crisis mostly averted. Honestly, the most exciting thing is that last night and this morning I was adding a whole bunch of stuff to the old tax app, the old Basecamp. Oh my gosh. Listen. This is pretty cool. I had the idea yesterday to put in a bunch of simulators. So now you can simulate opening a wallet and like going through all of the click phases to get a seed phrase and write it down and have to remember it and then select the boxes on the next one to confirm it and like set a passcode and stuff. And then there's a transaction simulator so you can pretend to send and receive and have to copy the addresses down and then confirm it on the next one. And I'm putting in a thing wherein every so often it will clip you and copy the wrong address into the confirm screen and you have to catch it and make sure that you don't like authorize a transaction to the wrong place. And then there's some swaps. There's a whole bunch of stuff. There's a couple different simulators that are getting added in, but they're all part of the start here tutorial thing. So like as you read about things, you can like pop out a window from the term you're reading and simulate whatever it is, as long as that makes sense.
That is an amazing feature. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times somebody calls me, asks me a question because like they're encountering the seed phrase screen for the first time. Do you remember that, Matthew? Like when you first set up a wallet, had anybody ever like shown you that screen? Because you're never supposed to show anybody that screen, right? So you're just like,
no, the only thing I knew about seed phrases and wallets were from your TikTok videos, Evan, with like the massive whiteboard and like all like the hot, cold storage wallets, like how they were connected and whatever. That's like the only thing I knew. So,
man, I love that, Alex.
I'm pretty excited about it. I can't believe it took me this long to come up with that, but I was just sitting there thinking yesterday that because I already have like a Bitcoin sandbox simulator, where you can like buy fake Bitcoin and then hold on to it and, try to practice taking profits on it and stuff. And I just kept thinking like it's a little underwhelming because Bitcoin's a little bit slower, and it's not like you're going to see huge swings and stuff. So it's like I should fake this and just have like a totally fake environment running where the price of some fake assets is like really moving all around and you can kind of do the whole thing. I was like, why stop there? And then I had the exact same thought. I was like, you're not even in most applications, you cannot even screenshot as soon as you get to seed phrase. There's security features enabled to prevent screenshots and stuff. And I was like, so, I mean, I can keep describing it. And I've done a ton of, wallet tutorial types of videos and stuff, but never like with the direct things like watch me copy down a seed phrase. And I was like, why not just do it with no consequences? If you screw it up, you just like go, clear it and go back to the beginning and start over. So I'm pretty stoked about it.
I'm stoked about it for you. I have this comment here from Bearded who says, Alex, you should live stream you working on that. And I can envision the amount of self-talk you do. So why not just talk to everybody else?
Dude, it's a team effort because I have Perplexity running and Claude running and then Replit agent running. And actually they just ran, if you have not like messed around with Replit, this is crazy. I was watching or I saw on Twitter yesterday our friend Toli, who is the oh my god. I mean he's built so many things. He built Bearish.
Yeah.
He's NFT founder from way back in the day, one of the few with a living project. And a whole bunch of other stuff. He's a, serial developer. But he was talking about how he used to charge this much money to build like a website for people. And now with AI, someone like him who, is an engineer and does all this kind of stuff, he's like, what used to take me 15 hours takes me 15 minutes. And, all this kind of stuff. And I could tell he was talking about, I think, Replit. Or something very similar to it. I don't know of any others that are kind of like on that par. So if you know more about it than me, please tell me, because I'd like to use more of the tools. But for like, dude, 25 cents in generation credits. I think so far everything I've done on Basecamp has cost me less than $10. And it's I've been working on it for hours, but that's just because I'm not an engineer. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like figuring it out. But now they have this little thing in the bottom where you can toggle between different modes that the agent is in. So you can have build mode, plan mode, and like just idea mode, where you can like iterate with it and go back and forth more like a GPT or a Claude or something like that, and it won't actually build the thing. And then you can take whatever it creates in plan and idea mode and port it over to build mode.
Yeah, the question in the comments comes, is it actually possible to build anything with ChatGPT? And the answer is all your favorite LLMs, if they don't have it already, are going to have what's called agentic mode or something similar, likely. And even if they don't, you can kind of string some of them together if you wanted to play around with 100%. The workflow. So GPT definitely has it if you're a pro subscriber. I just got mine rolled out. And I've been a pro for the people who've had this feature for, I don't know, a month or so.
I got it two months ago.
Yeah. Okay. Replit, Bubble, and Lovable are all apps that have been around for a while that will let you take like prompt to code and kind of like build an app or site.
Lovable is a lot more into like, it's in my experience and from what I've seen reading from people who know much more than me. Replit can build more complicated things. Lovable builds simpler things, but might be easier to iterate with. I have only used Lovable a teeny tiny little bit. And I don't know, dude, like it's the difference between like having to have much more specificity with your prompt versus Replit. I can write the dumbest shit to the Replit agent. It's like, did you mean? And I'm like, that's what I meant. Yep. Good catch. Yeah. Just testing you there. And it puts the good stuff in, but no, I'm blown away. And, like I'm a little bit easier to impress, maybe as a non-engineer. But the other thing they just added, and then I'll get off my agent soapbox here, was a really good, like a much more clear security screener. And so that's my next mission, is to take that to like an actual engineer and get like someone who I would trust more than, the agent to run like a security sweep or scan on something. Because of course it's telling me no vulnerabilities. And I'm like, I can't imagine there's not a single problem with this, but it's kind of neat. You can just like run a security check like right then and there on a bunch of stuff. Now, granted, I don't have any account storage. There's no data, nothing. That's like all very, session-based simulator. So maybe there really is no issue.
Yeah,
it's pretty simple, but
I cannot wait to see it again. I didn't think I would ever say that.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I'm kidding.
No,
you're stupid.
I really know. I think it's fantastic, and I look forward to the day. If people want to test it or play around with it or see, the latest version, where do we go?
Well, actually, just in Circle, I'll post a fresh link today because as soon as the last simulator is done cooking here, there's a problem with it that I need to fix. I'm going to redeploy it, and then everyone can mess around with the simulators and tell me what you think.
And that is community.rumshq.com. If you're listening, that's rumshq.com with community at the front of it. Or you can just go to, you find it there. You'll find it in the description. And I think the link has been shared in the free community, which is like totally cool. But Alex has been updating it in the lounge, which is like the premium general chat. If you want to see that, sign up for a 10-day trial. Easy. Cancel it if you don't like it, but it is pretty cool. And Matthew hanging
And
up there a lot.
honestly, if anyone, like literally, if anyone's willing to sit down and like click around in this thing and find things that are broken or stuff that doesn't look right or whatever, and you would be willing to do that, that'd be a huge help. Please tell me and I'll send it to you happily.
Well, there you go. And speaking of community, I want to know a little more from Matthew. First of all, are you using GPT, Nathan, N8N, whatever it is, Replit, anything like that, Claude, Perplexity, and how are you using those kinds of tools right now? And it can be crypto adjacent or not.
Yeah, so I use ChatGPT for most of my stuff. I will say, being in college, it is very common. Professors talk about it a lot, not to use it because the majority of people kind of just use it to ChatGPT their assignments and get everything in. But what I really liked using it for was this summer I took an online class where it was like fully remote. Like I wasn't joining Zoom meetings. I didn't really talk to my professor at all. So I'd watch the lectures and read the textbook. But if I had any questions, I was kind of like on my own. And I really used GPT as my assistant there. If I had any questions about concepts or stuff like that, I could go back and forth. And it was literally like having a professor for me right there. So yeah, I don't know. I realized, I guess, ChatGPT is a lot more than just your homework answers, which is, I feel like, what most people use it for here. I think it is incredibly useful.
And
I've used Perplexity a little bit, but I find the interface of ChatGPT more user friendly and easier to read, but that might just be because I started on it and I'm more used to it.
Sure, that makes sense. And I'd be curious to know, especially since you're dealing with analytics, I don't use it. I use it for like silly random math questions. Like, can you give me an example of how unlikely it is for somebody to create a Bitcoin address that's already been used? But I would imagine that in your work, you're probably doing some more robust, like, here's data set 1, here's data set 2, help me understand. Or, can you illustrate what those kinds of questions look like, the kind of work you're doing?
Yeah, so chat is good with, so I guess I'll start off with saying in my major, I have to use different coding languages. So I've had to use R, I've had to use SQL, I've had to use Python, and then I obviously have a lot of Excel work. Chat GPT is really good at taking data sets, especially in Excel data sets, and articulating to me like what each row and column like actually is, because lots of times they're not labeled all that well. And then Python, it's really good with Python, like explaining to me like the different functions, because what I've learned from coding, it's like literally learning a different language. You have to understand what all the things are saying, and it's really good at breaking it apart and telling me what the thing is doing, because sometimes the names I don't really know what it's trying to tell me, but it's definitely good with those two applications.
Yeah. And I'd like to know more about how you came to be interested in crypto. What's your story there?
Yeah, well, you guys are gonna get a kick out of it. So I'm gonna ask you guys. It's gonna prove everything you guys scream to the void correct. So I want to ask you guys, what token do you think got me into crypto, and what like platform?
Oh, XRP and Uphold.
It's got to be XRP. Except I'm going to say Shaman. You used the Shaman wallet first.
Oh, well, so XRP is right, and I got it on Robinhood.
So I could have guessed that.
Yeah.
You know what? I can appreciate that, because Robinhood was my very first one too. I got Ethereum on Robinhood, and that was my entrance.
Yeah. So this was around last October, November. It was right when kind of the pump happened when Trump was elected president. One of my friends, at first it started, I just saw crypto TikTok, and of course it was just XRP. I forget the guy's name at this point, but it was XRP to the moon, obviously. And my friend posted, I guess he got in earlier because he posted on his Snapchat story or something like that, a screenshot of his portfolio of like him just getting like a 2x and like whatever, like XRP is like the greatest thing ever. And then me, I hadn't gotten into investing prior to getting into crypto, which is definitely a little dangerous and has been proven by my journey. But I've been blessed enough to have a lot of funds that I can invest with based off of internships and other things in my life. So I was looking for somewhere to put my money in, and it's like, well, why would I not want to put in something that's going to double my money? And XRP is going to be used in the banks in Japan, is what he told me. I'm like, oh, this is great. And so he's telling me XRP, and I think this is funny because I didn't realize this until a few months ago, that like Stellar is not related to XRP, but I was told that XRP is used for the banks, XLM is used for like the consumers to banks or something like that. So like those two are going to the moon. So that's how it started for me. And then I get all these crypto TikToks. As soon as I like the first one, I got 30,000 more, and they were all of XRP this, XRP that, some random meme coin. But then I got this guy with the name coin_guide who, started talking about.
Sounds like a scammer.
Yeah, definitely scammer name for sure. Started talking about some macroeconomic news. Like, I was like, oh, is this like actual information? That's kind of cool. Kept scrolling more XRP. And then there's this guy, Evan, with this massive whiteboard of like what a wallet is. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess that's like some cool information, but like I had no idea what he was saying. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep scrolling. But eventually I kept coming across Evan and Will's videos. And once I learned that they were working together and had this show, I was like, might as well check it out. And I guess that's how I got connected with the show. And then I joined the Discord, and then I really like the community and have been in and active ever since.
Man. Oh yeah,
I am a big fan of this.
I am a big fan of this.
That's
Wait, I want to go back to something you just said, because here's an opportunity for us to get some real-time feedback. You said, and if you can't remember it, no worries. But when you said that you saw like an Evan video and he was explaining something and had the board, I always imagine Evan is like the Always Sunny meme, when Charlie Day is standing in front of the board doing this.
Oh,
it's
yes.
just like all this crap.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember what the video was about? And do you remember what about it felt like unapproachable or felt like this is over my head right away? Or do you remember any of those details?
Yes.
That's Evan in his room every day.
So if I remember correctly, it was Evan talking about the importance of cold storage. And what about it felt like a little unapproachable to me is like I had my funds locked on Robinhood, which isn't even a wallet at all. And Evan was talking about like the relationship between the wallets and how like a cold wallet is more like safe than a hot wallet. But I was like, I don't even have a hot wallet. So it's like, no, this is just too much. It's kind of what was the immediate for me.
I think that video starts with a hook that says, if you've got more than $1,000 in cryptocurrency, you need to understand hot and cold wallets or something like that.
Yeah,
so
I remember that one vaguely.
Starts with jargon.
Yeah.
But still, like seeing the real like knowledge though, I was like, oh, someone that like knows what they're talking about, I guess. So,
one of my least favorite things about TikTok is that my videos don't get discovered in an ideal order for somebody to like be invited to the journey. I wish you could highlight a video to just push to people. Like if they know I talk about crypto, I'm not an expert, but the expertise I do have is that people should start with this one. I get so many comments that are like, I don't know what this means. Help. I want to learn this. And I say, this is not, it's okay.
The best thing you can do is toss it in a playlist, and then you really only get that tiny link on the bottom. But dude, one of the things I love about YouTube is the ability to superimpose on the screen a clickable reference link out to a different video. And if
seeing me for the first time, watch this video instead. Start here first.
Yeah, no, exactly. Just a little bubble in the top. And I know you can do it, TikTok, because you keep sending me commercials in the little bubbles. But like that I could add, that would just be a button to a better video. Or like if I reference something, you say a jargon term, boom, there's the definition video. God, that would be so cool.
Yeah. And I think also what got my attention, and I'm definitely glad I can join the show, as you guys have been following me a ton on TikTok and Discord and DMing me all the time.
We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
So I know you guys really wanted me on the show with how many accounts you made to get in contact with me. So
listen, we've been trying for a while. Matt, we just really wanted to know how the markets were treating you. Okay.
A gross misrepresentation of the fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a good time to tell people listening, just in case you're not read in on this joke. Alex and Will and I and any content creators you follow, especially if they talk about crypto, they have a lot of impersonator or spam profiles. They will reach out to you. They will say really weird things like blessings and greetings, my brother, like just
yours are getting super hippy dippy. Like,
are they?
I got one from a fake Evan last week that started off with peace and love, my brother. And I was just like, Jesus Christ.
Getting a little closer. That's how I begin all my calls with Alex.
Yeah. I think something else I want to highlight just about my journey is, I guess, prior to, all this stuff, what my extent of crypto knowledge was Bitcoin for sure. And I had heard of Ethereum, and it wasn't until I really once I started learning and saw Ethereum again, I was like, oh yeah, I know what that is. But obviously I had heard of Bitcoin. I remember, obviously, it's like, I'm not in that state now, but back then kind of thought Bitcoin was like maybe a scam, because I also had heard of all the meme coin scans from different content creators. And that's the stuff that kind of goes mainstream. But I remember seeing, Bitcoin price goes up, crazy Bitcoin, whatever, Bitcoin price crashes. I'm like, oh, it's a scam, whatever. And I remember seeing this NFL player who signed a contract, but got his contract paid in all Bitcoin. Yeah. And this was like a while ago, so he's definitely doing well. But I remember seeing that, I was like, what? But yeah, it was just Bitcoin, and then meme coins was all I really knew. So, and I was pretty skeptical. And I would say that's kind of what it's like for my friends now. When I tell people around me that, I'm into crypto, I'm invested in crypto and stuff like that, I feel like they kind of are like, oh, so you're like a gambler or something like that. And I just want to be like, no, there's so much more to learn. And literally yesterday, there was like an example of that where I was able to be like, yeah, like this stuff is actually cool. So I'm in a business fraternity in Cincinnati. And yesterday we had a meeting of some sort. And I was talking with one of my friends. It was him and one of his friends. They were in like an econ club that they had a dinner with the professor for the night before, and they were talking about how this guy was just, super energetic. They loved what he was talking about. They're like, yeah, he was talking about crypto a bunch, but he's like, my friend's like, yeah, it was actually like cool to hear him talk about this stuff. And I kind of overheard, I was like, yeah, like this past summer, that's kind of what I've been like researching, is doing like research on crypto stuff, what it all means. He's like, yeah, he was talking about like proving your identity online, like without, based off like your history and all this other stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, like was he talking about like zero knowledge proofs? And my friend, like his eyes open, was like, yeah, like that's what he said it was. And I was like, yeah. So there's that, which I don't know. That was the first example I've seen of someone at least batting an eye at crypto, because everyone else is like, it's just, what is the chart doing? Which kind of sucks, because I feel like for my generation, that's kind of what it takes. That's what it took for me to get onboarded, is I saw the chart went up, and that's what got me into it. And unfortunately, I think that's what it's going to be like for people my age, unless like there is real education about blockchain and what this stuff actually is.
Yeah, wait, back up and tell me. So you're telling me that like it actually works to share what this stuff can be used for, and people get excited about it?
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Couldn't be.
Yeah, there's a chance, maybe. Yeah, I that was crazy yesterday. That was the first time, and I was like, I wonder if this guy's really talking about zero knowledge.
I mean, honestly, it might be the first time ever that somebody has said zero knowledge proofs and been met with, wow, that sounds interesting, or I'm so excited.
Yeah, he was more like, it was confusing, but he was like, it was cool to see the professor talk so passionately about this stuff. But I mean, yeah,
Evan, one of my favorite things we've ever done was get to do a guest lecture at Rose-Hulman.
Yeah.
Was that 2022 or three,
something like that.
We got to do a guest. It was a guest lecture for just like an extracurricular business club, but specifically talking about the application of blockchain in business. Mm-hmm. And I mean, first of all, me giving that lecture now would be 1,000 times better than it was back then. But it was awesome. I mean, every single person in that club was beyond interested. They had pretty much all heard of it, at least in like one tiny capacity. I think a few people were completely unfamiliar with really any of the terms and maybe had heard the word Bitcoin before or something like that. But I absolutely loved doing that.
Yeah, me too. And that's something we want to do more of. So
Yeah.
for any educators out there listening, yes, you can get us to come talk to your classes. We would love to do that. I regularly go to the University of Memphis and talk to them. One of my friends, Dr. Cosenza, is a professor in the College of Business there, and she teaches marketing. And we will do, at the end of her like 300 and 400 level undergraduate courses, I'll come in and help with her final exam, which is usually oriented around using different AI tools that are available now. And I say now because in the like 4 or 5 times I've gone to lecture to this class, it's usually, 4 to 6 months apart. And every time the content is different because the tools have advanced that much. I think about, just how it was at the start. So if that's you, if you're a prof, if you've got kids and you want to make zero knowledge proofs exciting, no promises, but give us a call and we will do our best to help. We got a question here from Boos who said, who's the new guy? And so let me take a moment very quickly to welcome you again, if you're joining us live, to Web3 101 Wednesday and reintroduce you to our friend, Mr. Matthew Wiley. He's a community member hanging out with us, learning crypto in the Rise Up community. And that's why I say the only thing missing is you. If you are trying to learn crypto, you need to get into a group of people who can help you learn from their experience, who may or may not be building a tax app with a screen that will show you what it looks like when you get a seed phrase, somebody who uses your wallet, somebody who's from your neck of the woods and has tried to sign up for an exchange or had to figure out a workaround or avoided this scam, you name it, we've got somebody who's dealt with it. And we would really love to see you there. Matthew, I know you had a couple of questions that you were talking about that you thought would be helpful to bring on the air before the show. That seems like a great place to bring it. What are some of the things that you're working through, that you're thinking about as you navigate the wild and wonderful world of cryptocurrency?
Yeah. One of the things, and we can shortly get into it, but yeah, cannot stress enough, you guys got to join the community, because what I've found, what I've been researching, what I've been doing in crypto has in large part been because of the show, been because of the community. Those who know me in the Discord or in the circle group know that I've been deep into Katana. I wouldn't say I'm a DeFi maxi, but like I'm probably the closest that I can be. I think that stuff is really cool, and I would not have found out. What
you can always go deeper.
Yeah, that's true. But I would not have found out about Katana if it wasn't for the Rise Up Morning Show when they were sponsored by Polygon, when you guys brought that up. So people sponsor the show because I would not, like, your community, the community is getting involved in things because you guys are sponsoring the show. So I cannot stress that enough, because I thought Polygon was just like another random L2, and I would never have found out about Katana or get as involved as I am. So yeah, gotta say that. So again, Amen. Yeah, join the show and sponsor the show, everybody. So that's what I gotta say. But yeah, so with Katana, those of you that are familiar with it, new DeFi protocol. I don't know if we want to define DeFi first, Web3 101.
Oh my gosh, look at you. You're a pro. DeFi is short for decentralized finance, and it describes the suite of services you might access through the internet that you rely mostly on middlemen to administer now. Getting a bank loan or using money to go somewhere and invest in something else. The theory is we can pretty confidently and securely, maybe more than we usually do, replace those people, banks, profitable CEOs with pieces of computer code that anyone can verify, recorded on a blockchain, transactions of ownership. And Katana, I've got it on the screen for people in podcast land, is one of those protocols where you can use your assets on chain, we say, in a blockchain context to earn a yield by providing the backing for loans people can take. Yeah. Go ahead. Please continue.
Yeah. And that's one of the things. It's like, I wish like my friend, I could shout at my friends, and I guess I probably could tell them myself, but it's like they always talk about passive income. I'm like, guys, like this right here. Anyways,
Yeah, DeFi is often, I describe it in shorthand as passive income.
Actually, passive income.
Yeah,
Not like buying a bunch of vending machines and starting a full-time job, but like
yeah.
Clicking a button and earning.
Yeah. But I know there's probably some of you guys in the live right now, and I know I've seen some comments. I feel like I might have responded to some of them, or I don't know, in the community that have talked about withdrawing from Katana. A few months ago, they had a really big incentives program that is still going on, but it required you to deposit on Turtle Club or within the Katana interface. And you had to hold your USDC or whatever assets it was in their vault for 90 days, and then you get the full amount of rewards. And I know I've seen some people asking about how you withdraw, so I think it'd be good to go through that and see in a blockchain explorer yourself how long you've been in the vault, because you can't see it directly on the interface, but if you go on your deposit date, you can see it in the blockchain explorer.
Then let me pull up one of my wallets where I can get connected to it. I actually don't know. I'm on my fancy new computer, and I don't know that I have any of my social wallets installed here yet, any of my teaching wallets. So I wonder if we can just click through, or Alex, if you can get a transaction for it.
I do have to say really quick as you click around, just first of all, shout out to you guys in the chat for letting me know, because I had no idea and I'm not paying attention this morning, but Solana's just like casually 223 right now.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, so if you're looking to take some profits, I don't know what your buys were, but I'm certainly gonna sell a little bit right at this level. Probably not a ton, but
Bitcoin's at 130. It's almost at 113.5. That's reaching big levels. Wow.
Okay, I have to confess it again. I sold all of my Solana like an absolute fool at
listen to me.
213.
You wiener.
Yeah.
Don't sell the whole bag when you have long-term conviction in something.
No,
not the whole thing.
I know this.
What's wrong with you?
It's okay. I actually moved it into I moved a lot of it into if you're looking at the charts, go ahead and look up tuna really quick. I have recently because we came into contact with Madi and because we hang out with the White Whale and they've been talking this and that and this and that and given me a chance to look at DeFi tuna and some of the numbers that they're doing in terms of revenue. Through some of the USDC profits, I pulled out of Solana there, and something tells me that if Solana is up, that's also probably big up too. Do you have a tuna ticker while I'm getting my
I can grab one.
Tuna USDC?
Huh?
Tuna US, is it just tuna?
Yeah, it would be like DeFi tuna is the protocol, and it would probably be the pair tuna USDC on whatever exchange you're looking it up as.
Yeah, USDT, yeah, it looks like it's green.
Looks like it's green. Do you have a token price for me?
It is at 14 cents, I think, 14.76.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's about.
It's kind of flattish, but like sitting up nearish. It's
flattish, but up.
Yeah, the candle is green on the daily chart at least, so there's that.
Flat today, but up in general and sitting like at its all-time high.
Nothing can stop it. It's all the way up. Okay.
Almost. Sorry.
Well, wherever you are, wherever you listen, we hope your candles are green. I hope you are in some nice profit. And if you're not, then listen, you need to get on what Alex is trying to tell you to do, to buy low, to sell high, that kind of thing. Let me see if we can.
Cue the Pump It Up song. I can't believe you don't have a clip of that on your soundboard yet.
I know. I actually need to do some updating of my soundboard.
I feel like we've got a few clips that need to be added.
What did you say the other day that I have to get to? I absolutely cannot pull up a wallet, the interface that has that. I think I have to restart my browser. So for everybody in podcast land, everybody listening live, sorry for the delay. I will just walk through because it is really helpful what it might look like to withdraw from Katana. And I will redirect you to say, Alex, we got to get a GPT that knows everything we know, because we have done this exact tutorial on a previous episode. I think it was a Web3 101 Wednesday, and I think it was probably 4 weeks ago. So if you wanted to see it and you wanted to do a little hunting around, you could go to the YouTube playlist, The Rise Up Morning Show, And you could search for Web3 101 Wednesdays to find. In the description, it'll tell you we walk through Katana and how to withdraw your funds. And you could jump into the community because we definitely talk about it there. If you were on Katana, you would connect your wallet. You would go to your holdings tab and you would see the funds you had deposited. And you would see the option to click a button to withdraw. Like any wallet interface, you would be able to put in the amount you wanted to withdraw in, whatever token you've deposited. And then you'll have to pay a gas fee. You might need some ETH on Katana. Alex, I remember in that episode, you shared your deep frustration with having to bridge. They have a bridge right here that you can use. This deposit and earn has a little button at the top that will take you to the Katana bridge. But Alex is here to tell you it's a new protocol. So it can be a little frustrating. And Matthew, I'm sure you would say that too, it sounds like, lots of hoops to jump through.
I was going to say, so one of the things Katana has recently done is, because originally when you deposited in Turtle Club and some of the options were Ethereum vaults where you like deposit whatever the asset was on Ethereum, but they have since bridged everything over to Katana. So the gas fees for withdrawing should be like less than like a fraction of a cent. So
yeah, it's not expensive,
but
no, super cheap. But it might be the slowest bridge I've ever interacted with in my life. And by that I mean I'm talking like bank wire transfer slow. Like 18 hours slow. It was incredible.
Not fun, not ideal. And for people who are like, wait, Katana, Turtle Club is facilitating some of the liquidity provision process underneath Katana. This is one of those things that is often made harder by DeFi interfaces. You got to go to Katana, you got to do some depositing. You can go look at turtle.club and see your assets there to like see what the APY is. It's obfuscated. We did all this though for sure in that tutorial. So what I will say is I'm so sorry I didn't have a good wallet connection so I could show you exactly. I wonder if there's another way we could go to see something on the blockchain explorer.
You can use my wallet address if you want.
No, it's okay. I mean, if you have, here's what you could do. If you have a transaction from Katana that you could quickly copy and paste and send me in the chat, I would be glad to pull it up. That would be fine. If not, then we can showcase it in the community and we can move on to talk about something else. I know you said wanted to talk about bridging. That would be a great topic. And reading a blockchain explorer, we can do from the bridging transaction or a variety of other ways. So where would you like to go? Do you have a transaction at hand or?
Yeah, would I copy the hash? Is that what I would just do?
You could copy the hash. Yeah. And what chain is it on? Is it on Katana or is it on ETH?
It's on Ethereum because the deposits were originally on Ethereum.
Okay. Yeah. Copy the hash and send it to me here in the private chat on the StreamYard tab. And while we do this and look it up, I have another question for you from Kimberly Wiley. Hello, Kimberly. I absolutely love your name.
I am a big fan of this.
Kimberlys are just about the best people in the world as far as I know. And I think that's a great question. She would like to hear your perspective on talking to older generations about the merits of investing in, and I'll add, or using crypto.
Well, if that is Kimberly Wiley, that would be my mom in the chat. So shout out to my mom. It was her birthday yesterday. Yeah, so I don't know what age she turns because she only looks 27 at this point. So that's all that matters. So happy birthday to my mom.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Yeah. But to answer her question, it is different but similar than talking to people my age, because I feel like older people are even more skeptical than I am. Talking to my dad specifically about this stuff, because I mean, with the amount of funds I had, obviously my dad wasn't going to let me use like a ton of it to like do this stuff at first, which I totally like do not blame him at all. But at the same time, he was very skeptical. And I understand why, and I've tried to talk to my grandparents about it, and it ends up being more of like we trust what you have to say, and it can be hard to navigate with how technical this stuff is. Even for me, the technology behind it is hard, but I think the core behind I think can be helpful to talk to older generations is truly understanding the general financial system. I think once I learned that Bitcoin isn't like a meme coin, or Bitcoin isn't supposed to just like rocket up in price and get you like a 10x in like 2 days, but like understand that Bitcoin is an alternative to fiat currency because, you know, we are at the hands of the government who can print money whenever they want. And I guess really explaining that part, I think, is what is necessary to explain to the older generation and harp on, and I feel like can help them understand why we have this stuff, and then explaining how. So like once you understand that concept, is to then next like explain, okay, so like now here's the problem. The problem is the fiat currency. Well, here's the solution, and then dive in there. So.
I just want to say, on behalf of mamas everywhere, from Mama B Thing, she says, best son ever. Solem says, it's helpful for folks to understand banks are taking advantage of them. Yeah. And lots of happy birthday Kimberly messages in the chat, followed by Hubley Khan, who said, simping mom is always based.
Correct.
Amen.
I've got this transaction here, and to prep our talk about bridging, Alex, do you want to maybe prep your screen to do a little debridge or something like that? And
I have it.
Awesome. Then I'm going to very quickly just show you. I've got Matthew's transaction hash, and I want you to take a look at my screen in just a few seconds. If you're in podcast land, YouTube is the best place to get in touch with the screen share. You can find this episode at the top of the Rise Up Morning Show.
Can we take a quick moment of silence for TK in the chat, whose daughter told him about Bitcoin at $200, and they said it's a scam?
Oh, no.
A moment of silence. I'm so sorry.
Very sorry. It's it happens to the best of us.
It's okay. I looked at it at 2,000 and I was like, that's way too expensive. Pass.
We've all been there before. Okay. If you have never used one before, you should become very familiar with websites known as block or blockchain explorers. What these do is provide a human readable, but still a little intimidating interface of the information that's actually in like the ledger. Because remember, all a blockchain is a record of ownership. It's all the different people who use a network like Bitcoin for the function of tracking ownership of the asset Bitcoin. Some of them get a little more complex than that in terms of like what you're owning, what you're tracking, what they can do. But at its most basic, that's all this is. Transactions grouped together in blocks, like pages in a notebook that are chained together chronologically. Every user has a unique encrypted ID, and every transaction also has a unique encrypted identifier called a hash. I am pasting now into the Blockchain Explorer this unique hash Matthew has given me. It's 0x28C3237B. It means absolutely nothing to me. It's 64 characters of garbledy-gook. But when I search it on the Blockchain Explorer, it knows exactly what this transaction is. It tells me what block, or remember what page in the notebook, the record it's on. It tells me when it happened, 95 days ago on June 7th. It tells me where this transaction was initiated from, meaning Matthew's private key, his public key, his wallet address. It'll never show you a private key. If you're new to public and private keys, we'll talk more about that later. But all you need to know is that everybody has both. And your private key is like the key to a mailbox you would protect to use to send and receive things. And a public key is like an email address or a mailing address you might share with a friend or a colleague or Amazon or whoever you wanted to be able to give you stuff. So this is Matthew's public key. He is interacting with this other encrypted string 0x5755, whatever. That is a smart contract. It's like a piece of computer code that can function autonomously. In this case, it's to do things for Katana, like helping him swap the assets he has reassigned or deposited there to withdraw them. We can see a number of bits of data about this transaction in terms of which tokens are being reassigned and where they're being moved from. All of the information on a blockchain explorer is clickable. You can click links for the token that he's moving, like USDC, to find more information about it. You can find information about the wallets or contracts he's interacting with. And you can see the value or other types of information that have been moved in this transaction. And I'd love to kick it over to Matthew and Alex I think that's a good overview, but is there anything else that you would go here to look up? What are the reasons you would come to a blockchain explorer? Is there anything I missed or that you feel it'd be helpful to know as we work through this?
Yeah, I think one of the important things about a blockchain explorer is definitely tracking your transactions. I definitely have gotten lazy sometimes, not writing all my things down. So trying to figure out, wait, when did I buy this? Like, what did I buy? Like, where's this funds from? Going to a blockchain explorer can show you that. And then also for stuff that I was talking about, if you're in the Turtle Club campaign, some things in DeFi or in whatever it is, you need to hold for a certain amount of time to be eligible for rewards. And sometimes the only time you can really see it, unless you write down the specific date, is going to a blockchain explorer. So you can see on the timestamp, it says 95 days ago. So in my case, I would be good to withdraw these funds from the Katana pre-deposit or the Turtle Club vaults because I had held them for over 90 days. But that's just one of the use cases.
Yeah, and just to provide some perspective there, it's not uncommon for a DeFi protocol to say, you must lock these assets for X amount of days, just like a bank would. There are all those bank promotions that are like, we'll give you $500 when you open a checking account with us and drop in $1,000, but you got to hold it there for 90 days. It's that kind of thing. And often these are on their website, but sometimes people don't do a good job of finding them. Sometimes they're in a hidden, difficult place. But that's another reason you should jump into a community and get some practice using DeFi for yourself with just a small experimental amount of money, so you can get familiar with looking up this kind of information, and then you can be moving more confidently. I'm sure, Matthew, you could use this information to calculate like your approximate APY, the yield that you anticipated to earn based on the fact that you were here for 95 days. You could say, oh, they said it was 60%. And I deposited this much, so I should expect to see this kind of interest, right?
Yep, and I've used ChatGPT for that before, actually. So
nice. Okay, so that's a great introduction to a blockchain explorer. If you want to go deeper on it, we have videos on that. How to read a blockchain explorer is one such video. It's the most important skill in crypto, I would say, and I think Alex, you would too. However, we got to go to another skill that's also important. I think this is a good time to talk about bridging. Alex, do you want to take the torch and show us one example of a website to bridge? And I'm going to give it to Matthew. Would you like to take a crack at defining for our friends what is bridging?
I can give it a shot. So from my knowledge, bridging is taking an asset on one blockchain or one network and then switching it to another. An example of this is switching it from Ethereum to an L2. So think of different, like, I don't know, if we want to stick with DeFi, you can think of DeFi vaults. For those that have used Morpho, I know that's lots of people use Morpho here. If one of the vaults on Morpho is on the base network, but you have your token in Ethereum, you need to bridge your token on the Ethereum network over to base.
Beautiful.
Correct.
Thank you. Making the complex clear. Alex, I was hoping to grab myself a little URL banner for debridge. I sure don't have one. What is
.finance, debridge.finance.
Is it, crypto people are so adventurous with their URLs. It could be XYZ, it could be IO, it could be Fi, it could be finance, and I just need them to stick one. Pick with it. Stick with it. You know what I mean? Okay, so here we are.
So, I mean, just like Matthew said, effectively these things work by locking things on one side and unlocking things or minting new things on another side. And effectively, I like debridge just because it covers so many different things. It's super fast, and I've never had an issue with it. But let's pop over and look at the actual app. Debridge has a lot of really good analytics too. So if you're like looking to explore and get some data about things that are happening on chain in a, this and that capacity, specifically with bridging. If you're looking to get some information about which networks are currently experiencing the heaviest inflows and outflows and all that kind of stuff, it's a good spot for it. But I think that this one does a really good job of kind of illustrating what's happening, even just in the interface. So let's say, for example, we'll just make something up here. If I wanted to bridge, let's just say USDC, and I currently have it on base. So we have a you pay, you receive. Underneath the you pay, you would pick first the chain that you're located on. And so we'll say base. And then we'll
for
say,
people in podcast land, debridge has, I mean, what's that, like 25, 30 options? Base, Tron, Avalanche, Optimus,
31.
Hyperliquid, Polygon, Ethereum. It's nuts. You got a lot of options here.
And so as you look at it, once it's sitting there, you'll see there's two icons. The big one is the token logo. And then up here in the corner is just another tiny indicator logo to tell you which chain it is. So if I knew that I had it on base and I, accidentally saw the little Tron diamond up there or something, then I would know that, okay, I'm actually looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So then underneath here, oops, we said base USDC. There she goes. Then I'd pick what I wanted to turn it into. So if I wanted to bridge it to, I don't know, Hyperliquid,
Popular
USDC,
right now. Yep.
there you go. And then I would just type in, how much I wanted to do, how much I wanted to receive. It would tell me, estimated time of arrival here that this will take about 25 seconds. You can also add different addresses to route things to. So if I wanted to not only bridge, but also bridge it to someone in a different wallet, you could do that. Sometimes that's required if you're bridging like from EVM to Solana, for example, because obviously you cannot bridge to Solana and then send those tokens back to an EVM address. And for all of the jargon in that, basically what that means is that if my wallet address is talking about a specific wallet, a specific account that is on one blockchain, and I want to bridge to another, I will need to use a wallet on the blockchain I'm going to. You cannot always use the same address. Sometimes you can, and there's the nuance. If I was bridging from Ethereum to Base, I could keep it in the same account, the same wallet, because those are both EVM, meaning Ethereum Virtual Machine, meaning big Ethereum. They're both in the same ecosystem. Question in the chat, is it taxed? Does it convert equally? That is one of the things that you can compare across different bridges, what the conversion rates are, who takes the bigger fees. In my experience, debridge is very cheap. They don't really charge much at all. I always get very good conversion rates, and you can compare and contrast and then, pick who's going to give you the best rate. Sometimes wallets will have in-wallet bridging options like the Coinbase Smart Wallet or MetaMask, stuff like that. However, I usually find that those are a little bit more expensive. They usually take a little bit bigger fee than a standalone service. With regards to the question, is it taxed? No, this is not a taxable event. Always. So if I was taking USDC and I was bridging it from one chain to another and keeping it in USDC, that is not a taxable event. And you can actually write down the fee and you can expense the fee. It's pretty nominal, but it's still a good practice to get into, kind of keeping track of all this sort of stuff. Fees for transfers are expensible. And in this case, that would be a transfer. Now, the nuance there, because we're talking about taxes, so of course it can't be simple. If you were taking Ethereum on ETH and bridging it to something else and you wanted to also convert it to USDC in that same time, then yes, that's a sale. That is a taxable event. If you're going from one currency into any other currency, whether it's from Solana into AVAX or ETH into, base USDC or whatever it is, if you're changing asset, that is a taxable event. That's a sale. You have to keep track of that.
Yeah, and a great pastime in blockchain is figuring out, with the help of your friends in a community, based on where you live, based on what asset you want to send and receive, based on what blockchain you're interacting with and where you want to go, comparing who's got the cheapest fees. Like, you might be on Coinbase and find that they have an in-wallet swap and exchange, but it's too expensive. You might find that upgrading to Coinbase one, and paying a monthly fee actually makes it cheaper every year for the kind of swapping you do. You might find turning on Coinbase Advanced in the settings is the best way. You might find sending your your assets to a wallet and then visiting a website like this is the cheapest way. And if I've already lost you, don't fret, don't sweat. None of those things are step one.
They will be on the test on Friday.
Yeah, it's absolutely good.
Yeah.
One quick little shout out too, just while I have the screen share up here. Someone was asking about, what's the tax rate? That completely depends on you, your tax bracket, where you live, what your local tax laws are, how long you've held the asset. Because, as you sell or purchase new assets, you're falling into capital gains territory. And so then it depends, how long have I held the thing? Am I under or over a year? What is my income tax bracket? All these different, there's a whole bunch of stuff. And Evan, I'm not going to shout out the thing you think I'm going to shout out, even though Blockchain Basecamp does have a tax efficiency calculator where you can simulate different taxable events and it will tell you what you could do to make them cheaper or more efficient for you. But I was actually going to shout out
absolutely die on this hill.
A new tax tool that I've been digging into, and we're actually working on getting them on the show to come talk about taxes specifically within DeFi.
Now,
and so if you guys have never heard of them, this is the new thing that I'm exploring. And so find them. I'll show their Twitter profile, and you guys can all go say you're excited to see them on the show. But this thing is really cool because it allows you to connect a whole bunch of wallets, and it will do like all the DeFi tax tracking for you.
what's the URL, Alex?
What's funny is it's another dot something. It's awaken.tax.
Oh my God. Come on, guys. Come on.
But it's really cool. And actually, if you look at how many things they track, so basically everything. Everything Ethereum, Coinbase, Base, Solana, Hyperliquid, Hyper EVM, Sui, Polygon, Optimism, Arbitrum, KuCoin, Avalanche, Binance, Coinbase Pro, Coinbase Prime, Coinbase. Dude, there's so many Coinbases. Oh my God.
Is it just the worst?
Abstract, Barachain, Blast, Kraken, Crypto.com, Phantom. You can put Cash App stuff in here. Toncoin, Unichain. Like, they still do Terra Classic.
Wow.
In case you're arbitraging that dead ass stablecoin, you can still do that here. But it's pretty cool. And actually, whenever they add a new one, they make it free. So like they added Hyperliquid Base in Solana, so you can add like an unlimited number of transactions to that. And for those curious about what that means, usually with crypto tax software, they like limit you by transaction depending on like what tier you pay for. This one's the most affordable, like by far, which is kind of why I'm interested. Plus, tracking DeFi stuff is a nightmare. And if you're trying to be legal and compliant, then that's how you do it.
Matthew, I thought you were going to ask a question a second ago when we rugged you right before we came over to this tax app as we were talking about bridging. Did you have a question you wanted to?
But actually there is a question, but then something else I just want to talk about with bridging.
Yes.
Bridging, definitely a level 2 play. Could you go back to like the tab where it has like all the different chains on it?
Yes, absolutely.
Take your time, sweetheart.
Well, I said I would show the Twitter.
You did show the Twitter at awaken.tax for our friends in podcast land. Tell them Alex sent you and say, can you please sponsor the show because we need a real tax app to take over the time Alex is to talk. Although honestly, I don't know, man.
Solana taxes are free right now.
Beautiful.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Matthew, you wanted to see back to debridge?
Debridge, and just show the list of all the chains that it has.
Let's see if it's on the Explorer too, and an easier to look at.
Yeah, and the reason why is I know, if my mom's watching this, if my dad's watching this, I know they're probably looking at like what there's so many different names. What's the point? When I finally got my dad onto Coinbase and put some USDC in a Morpho vault and added USDC on Polygon, he was like, wait, why? What is this? What is Polygon? Why does it have to be on Polygon? And it has to do with the nature of how these things work. Unfortunately, when you look at this list as it is, like you're not going to know what directly is like compatible with what without doing more research. But the research is just the nature of, you know, the things themselves. So you have Ethereum is your main driver with DeFi, and how Ethereum works is it things is Ethereum proof of stake. Is that
That's right.
So proof of stake, and each transaction or thing on the blockchain, it costs money to be posted and validated. But the problem is those fees are pretty expensive. There's not unlimited space. So there are solutions called layer 2 solutions. I like
really quickly, before you go further, because you're giving a really good explanation, I just want to give people an analogy that might help them receive this a little more clearly, which is you can think about blockchain networks, Ethereum, Polygon, Base, whatever, like cities. And the same way that different cities have different amenities, different layouts, different tax structures. You know, you might be in a city that really has like high taxes that pay for the best schools anywhere. You might also have a city that's like, we don't want taxes. We want everybody to be able to have goats and chickens in their yard. Don't come for me. And because the people in the city vote on that or build the city according to those desires, you know, you're not going to want to raise a bunch of goats on the pavement in New York, right? So think about what everything Matthew is sharing in the context of these are like places you can go, cities. Please continue, because you're killing it.
Yeah, and I think another analogy, I know my dad would probably like this one, is you can think, you know, Ethereum as, you know, my dad loves football. You can think Ethereum as the National Football League, and you can think as the chains as all the different teams, where some teams have different players and focus on different positions more. So you can think of it like that as well. So yeah, these.
Okay, wait, because this is a great analogy, because you can bridge players too.
Exactly.
Oh, totally bridge players. Oh my god!
And you literally have to wrap them in a different wrapper when you put them on a different team.
Costume. Oh,
exactly. Yeah. So you can think of it as the jerseys. So then they got to wear their different teams jersey, just so you can see. Yeah. So that's an analogy that I thought works well.
I'm gonna steal that for sure. That's a really good one.
Somewhere Will Watson is sweating.
Yeah.
Better watch out, Will.
Yeah. So that's the reason behind why all these things exist. Because looking at this list, I'm like, what does this half this stuff do? Like, what is it? And the reality is lots of it is to they all roll up. So while they all are their own separate entity, most of them roll up onto Ethereum. When you hear EVM, that means it's an Ethereum compatible network and that it rolls up. There is Solana, and you could think of that as like the college football league instead. You know, we're still working with crypto, still working with football, but it's something different and has its own benefits. So yeah, that's the reason behind that. Another question would be,
and then Cardano is college bocce.
Yeah, it's like badminton.
Yeah,
badminton.
Yeah, love badminton.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, is there risks with bridging, and the risks, are they more prevalent and something more to worry about than there are just buying on like Coinbase or like swapping assets on like a centralized exchange or something like that?
Great question.
Definitely
yes.
Definitely yes.
Yeah. In fact, I think statistically and certainly by dollar value, bridges are the most vulnerable point in the entire crypto ecosystem. More exploits happen in and around bridges. The biggest hack / exploit in DeFi history was on the Ronin bridge.
Correct.
I'll never forget it. I'm sure I've told that story 28,000 times when I'm an old man sitting on my porch with, you know, like a whiskey and an old dog yelling.
An even older dog.
Not that I don't do that already, but I will be still probably telling the story about watching the Ronin. Was it? No, it wasn't the Ronin. It was the Axie CEO walk out and after he got the news that he was the victim of the biggest hack ever. But yeah, no. So, because effectively what's happening, right, is that someone is taking cryptocurrency on one side, on one chain and one network, and locking it up and unlocking a different supply on another place. So right off the bat, we can imagine that there is a huge risk of that smart contract that's making that interaction possible being illicit.
Yeah, the smart contract is like the vault, the lock. in this
And
case.
you could build a bad one, or you could find a way to break one, and
Or even a really good big one, and some heister is going to be like, too big to fail, stand back.
And I mean, you got to remember, everything is breakable. Everything is hackable. Nothing that has ever been created is 100% like theft proof. Some stuff is harder than others to exploit, to hack, to break, to steal from. Nothing is completely impossible. Nothing. I don't care what it is. And the most common way that we see the exploit happening is someone managing to break that lock unlock and effectively printing unlimited money by locking money on one side to unlock new funds on the other side, having still access to the things that were locked on side A and being able to relock them to re-unlock more on the other side, and doing that as many times as possible until they get caught. Basically printing unlimited money on the other side. That is what happened with the Ronin bridge. That's what has happened with other bridges. So yes. Now, what I will say is that risk is more to the network and the protocol, not necessarily to you. It's very possible that something is so poorly built that you could go unlock and it's like, hey, thanks, like a vending machine that takes your money and doesn't spit out the candy bar, for whatever reason. But those, in my experience, are much less likely than like the bridge being exploited by someone to steal from the protocol, from the network, from whatever. I don't think I've ever had a personal issue with any bridges, but it is of course possible. Another good risk here, Matthew, would be if you are bridging from one wallet to a different wallet, that you could do something like screw up the address and send it to the wrong place, or something like that. But
yeah, and I would say too that's different. Something worth pointing out is you can bridge and swap assets across many wallets, across many websites where the only thing they do, like debridge, is bridge assets, or even in places like Coinbase that are kind of like an all one-stop shop for crypto. And there are different risks there too. When you go to Coinbase and you fulfill a bridge, first of all, you're really not owning any assets directly. Like nothing is assigned to your specific private key. Coinbase doesn't even give you a private key. It's like you go to Coinbase to use an account that they manage for you, and it's all on their private ledgers, which are not necessarily blockchains. And then they have private keys. They keep track of what's entitled to you in their pile of Bitcoin or whatever. And if you wanted to do a bridge on Coinbase, swap one asset for another, move it to a different chain, it probably, or Robinhood or a site like that, it probably will be easier. Your options will be more limited. You'll have less flexibility about the fees, but you're going to click one button and nothing is going to happen on chain. There's not going to be a smart contract. The vault the assets are in is whatever wallets Coinbase is managing. And so there is a surface area for attackers, and it is big because Coinbase serves 100 million users. But it's different than this kind of vault that Alex just described. So understanding the different kinds of risks and then doing what's most comfortable for you. You may feel more comfortable interacting with a piece of computer code that a bunch of degens have audited that is look-upable on the internet, because you get to own the assets directly yourself and don't have to rely on Coinbase or Robinhood to be the custodian of them for you. You may feel more comfortable going to Coinbase and clicking one button and getting what you want and not having to worry about all that technobabble. And you don't mind that Coinbase holds it because you trust them or whatever. Understanding the risks and the differences is key.
Yep. Yeah. And I guess practically for me, because when I started, I was buying on Robinhood and then just Coinbase itself. And it's like, oh, Bitcoin's price was like 100K. But when I went to buy, I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, why is it executing and saying Bitcoin at $102,000? And that's the fee. And then I started by just swapping on Coinbase Wallet's interface. The price was a little better, but the fee was still there. And I've started using Jumper, which is like a decentralized exchange, like aggregator that's supposed to, give the best price for fees. And I've noticed that has really the price is essentially whatever I find on like Coinbase or like TradingView or whatever. But I guess, do you guys think that's worth it for like spot buying? Because I do like DCA, dollar cost averaging, every so often. But like, is that is that worth it to do it there, or does the risk? Would you guys say it doesn't really it outweighs the?
I think it depends on how much money you're moving and how confident you are. I think for like a large sum, it's honestly better to buy, sell, swap, or bridge on a centralized exchange. It's often safer and it's often faster. Like bridges rely on the company or the users to provide liquidity. And frankly, Coinbase's whole business model is about getting big piles of money and buying a lot of tokens. So they always have deep liquidity, Binance, companies like that. If you're looking for speed and autonomy or trying to find like an obscure token, a decentralized bridge is probably your best bet. And you should always do a test transaction first, especially if it's a new token, a new chain, something like that.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure.
As far as, DCA and profit taking and stuff like that too, because I do all of that with Solana, all of it's on Jupiter, because they give me, the best price and the lowest fee. I could swap like inside of Phantom or Soulflare, but the fee is always higher that way.
Is Jupiter a DEX?
Well,
and it's a DEX.
It does a few things, but yeah.
Meaning it like on the front end, you do a swap or a bridge or whatever the way you would on a DEX. And on the back end, it's like we're looking for the best route to make this happen. And we will present it to you because it's the cheapest or it's the fastest or whatever you prioritize.
Yeah, it does facilitate its own routes though at this point, and sometimes its route is the best. But yeah, the nice part is there's a good blockchain explorer exercise like we were talking about. If you execute a swap on Jupiter, take the hash from that transaction and go to the explorer, you can read out the entire route, and sometimes it's quite lengthy. And sometimes it fragments the transaction, splits it into 6 different things, and does a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, whatever. And the whole thing is designed to optimize it and make it, so that you get the best rate possible. And it's super fast. I mean, everything on Solana is super fast, but never really have to wait that much.
And I'm sorry to rug you, Matthew. I just want to let people know who might be feeling overwhelmed. This is a signal about how early to crypto we are. In the future, this is going to be as easy and simple as like sending money to a friend with PayPal. You are not probably even going to have to worry about which network am I on, which cryptocurrency am I using. You are probably going to go to DeFi.com and you're going to see, would you like to participate in a high risk, high growth strategy to earn 15%? Or would you rather prefer this conservative basket? And then, it's 2%. And they'll say, click to see the details. And it'll be much more simple and straightforward or familiar. Right now, all this stuff is actively being built. And so there is a lot of like, you got to go here, you got to go here, you got to read this, you got to look at this interface, and then you got to pay this fee, and then you got to connect to this solution. It's very difficult. I'm sorry though, Matthew, please continue.
Yeah, I was going to say Jupiter sounds like the Solana version of Jumper, because most of the stuff I use is on Ethereum networks. So, and it's like not all of it I'm doing is like bridging. Some of it, like a lot of it are just swaps on Katana's network. So it's just like from a Katana USDC to Katana wrap Bitcoin or whatever. So yeah, so it's just, aggregating a decentralized exchange.
And I want to show people what it looks like in a wallet, because we showed them debridge. And if you're going to Coinbase, if you're going to MetaMask, if you're going to a place like that that's a more user-friendly interface, it'll probably look something like this, where if you click into the little menu where you hold your assets or where your assets are displayed, this is Ethereum. You can see the price chart. This is what it looks like on the web version. On your mobile version, you'll see the same thing. There's a button to buy or sell, to swap the asset, to send it, to receive it. And if I click swap, a lot of wallet interfaces have bundled swapping and bridging together. Remember, Matthew gave the definition perfectly. Swapping is like one asset to another, ETH to USDC, on the same network. A bridge is when you are moving to another network. So some transactions might have a swap and a bridge, but just like Alex's interface, you set it up right here, selecting the token you want to transfer from, as well as the network you might want to transfer from. And then you send the amount, as well as the token you want to receive and the network you want to transfer to, before approving. all transactions through a wallet, through a bridge, through a website that is not an exchange like Robinhood or Coinbase will require you to confirm, grant some kind of permission, and sign the transaction with your wallet. And again, if this is something you're doing for the very first time, it's something you'd like to see slowed down or in a little more detail, then I really want to encourage you to jump into the Rise Up Morning Show community. Check out rumshq.com. We've got so many good resources for you, including a link to join the community there. That's where Matthew hangs out. Alex and I, Will is there 24/7. The only thing missing is you. We'd love to see you. Now, I know it's about that time to wind down the show, to ride our dogs and ponies off into the sunset. So before we do, if you've got a final question, suggestion, a good joke, a word of wisdom, a prediction, or if you want to make your pitch for why Matthew should replace Will Watson as the third host of the Rise Up Morning Show, then don't hesitate to drop it in the chat.
Is it too late to get in?
Yeah, it's now a good time to buy. And I do want to let you know, Matthew, that your appearance on the show has been a big hit. Lots of people are saying they love what you have to say. They're going to have to go back and watch this episode again because there have been really good nuggets. And I absolutely appreciate it. This has been a really successful experiment. And I cannot wait to have more conversations like this because I think it's one thing for me and Alex to get up here and say, hey, you should be doing this. But people kind of see us as like, I don't know, guys who work on the internet. And when they meet someone for the first time who also uses crypto, you know, it's like your friends at the school, those colleagues, peers who are like, oh, this guy knows about crypto. He knows about ZK proofs. Heck yeah. It just affirms that it's something for everyone. So thank you.
Yeah. Got a comment from Crypto Bo in the TikTok section saying, will Matthew wear a dolphin suit? If I replace Will, I will pledge to wear a dolphin suit every time.
There it is.
Will not be taken off. Don't you worry, guys.
Oh my God. He really is sweating somewhere. I'm so sorry, Will. We love you. You're not
He keeps
going
feeling
anywhere.
disturbances in the forest and he doesn't know why.
Guys, Alex, I know you've got to get out of here in a minute.
Yep.
So do you want to go first and give a final thought and then
Yep.
So-
I have a few. So a couple people have asked just about some various Solana things. I mentioned taking profits and using Jupiter to do it, all that good stuff. So I will happily share a few screenshots in Circle just so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about when you set this up. But the short answer is yes. Taking a little bit of profit on Solana today. I am not selling the entire position because if it continues to go up, I would like to be able to capitalize on that move as well. And if it goes down from here, then I will buy back in. So there's that. Someone was asking about why Solana. And for me, it's honestly a really simple and kind of boring answer. They make more revenue than any other protocol, network, or ecosystem in the entire industry, bar none, by quite a significant margin. And because of that, I am bullish. And it's really, truly that simple.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's kind of it. If you want to know like what my thoughts on anything are, my first question is, are they making any money? If so, how? And if yes, how much? And go from there. So, you know, that's all it is.
do they have revenue or do they have users?
Yep.
Are they novel users and what are they using it for?
Yep.
You know,
That's it.
That's a big
And then
question.
the last question was in answer to, I think it was Exit Velo asked if I'm staking. Yes, some of the position. I have a chunk that is the amount that I'm like swing trading in and out constantly. And then there's a bit that never moves that I'm just collecting on. That is being staked with Marinade because we have a link with Marinade where you can stake using our like referral link and it'll boost your APY by a little bit. So that's pretty cool. So I'm getting slightly enhanced APY by using the link that they gave us.
I am a big fan of this.
So, you know, used by everyone from me to the white
all
whale.
the way to the white whale. We need to have a white whale sound.
There needs to be a whale song that plays when you say it.
I don't know. It's not like the dolphin sound, but deeper. Okay, then Alex, have you got to go? You'll be back for Rise Up After Dark tonight. Matthew and I will be down.
Yep, I absolutely will be. If you guys had any questions that you didn't get a chance to, and I owe the Circle a few links, so I'll get some screenshots. Carol, I saw your questions about Jupiter. They are rolling out a dedicated mobile app. I know that it does exist. I've never actually used it personally because I just always do it on my browser extension. But I will get you a series of screenshots and a couple little steps on what I do to use it. Honestly, it's quite simple. You know, especially if you have connected a wallet to something and instigated a transaction before, you're going to be fine. And if you've never done it before, then stay tuned because I will have a simulator published in the circle later, and you can fake it and see how it works and mess it up in a place where there's no money at risk.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, he is our friend and yours, Mr. Alex Popovich. We'll catch you a little later tonight, okay?
See you guys.
Yeah.
I have a great comment from Ethicalish who said, whales sound like this. Matthew, before I get to your final thought, I wanted to ask you, because folks are saying, what's the URL to join the community again? We always give the commercial, and you gave a really great commercial earlier for why brands should work with us. I swear to God, I didn't pay him for it, but boy, it was perfect. Can you tell people, like, from your experience, what is the value of jumping into a group chat, a community? What's your word of wisdom there as I share the links and stuff?
Yeah, I think some of the best things about joining a community is obviously getting to be with other like-minded individuals. But the best part is everybody's perspective is different. There's a lot of different things that I have learned and things that have gotten brought up because of something someone else is saying. And it, I get to learn news from that. And I'm not going to learn any news from crypto Twitter or these other TikToks. Twitter is one of my least favorite places right now in terms of crypto, just because there's lots of campaigns that you just get paid to shill things and there's no real merit behind it. But I think joining a real intentional community, you get to learn useful information and you get to see stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else, and that's going to help you grow. And another really good thing is if you have a question, people are more than likely going to be there to help. And I also think another big thing, and I wanted to touch on this in my final thought, is they help keep your head on a swivel. I think during being invested in this market, it's really tested me at times. And on red days when things are down and I'm kind of freaking out because I've lost a lot in my portfolio. I've gained a lot when I've lost a lot. There's people in the community that are there that are probably going through the same thing and that are there to help keep your head on a swivel and just really push you. Help improve your the word is
your acumen, your skill set, your
stuff like that, and they just help you grow, and it's great.
I would love to have you say too, to clarify, the community, it's free to join. A lot of the resources we produce are free, but we also do offer a premium membership where people can get a couple of additional features. You get discounts to all kinds of stuff. You get free weekly office hours. You can come ask a question, that kind of thing. You're a premium member, and I'm curious to know what about the premium experience is valuable to you, and if you have any suggestions for us to make that, or in general, our platform a better place to learn.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if I'm a premium member, that means that I think the subscription's worth it, and I most definitely do. I think a lot more of the deeper conversations go on in the lounge. In the general chat, there are lots of different things that get talked about. I feel like it turns out to be pretty one-off, which is not a bad thing because that's where people go to learn. So people have a question about one thing, it's answered, and there's something completely else. But I think we dive into specific things in the lounge, and we really get a really deep understanding of things, and it definitely accelerated my learning journey. And I know you and Alex, and obviously Will does his chart TAs, which are helpful to people. They were to me at some point. I don't really look at charts like that as much, but still, if that's what you're into, you get a lot out of that. But I just think the premium's worth it because you really, really get to learn. And I don't know if it sounded like I knew what I was talking about on the show today, but I credit that to being a premium member and getting to, learn from people who have like you and Alex. So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you, man. And I don't know if you saw it, but our friend Exit Velo in the comments said, get this young man some sunglasses because his future is bright. Yeah! If you want to join the Rise Up community, folks in the comments are asking, is it a Discord? Is it a website? What do I do? How do I get there? Then you can, wherever you are, whenever you listen, go to the description, our profile, our bio, and grab the link there, or you can just remember RUMS, RUMSHQ.com. And that's where you can find everything related to the show. For the people in podcast land, I am showing a visual representation of it now. At the very top of our website are all of our official social links and a button that says join our free educational community. Start here, sign up, and start learning today. It takes you to a new website where you put in your email. You can use a fake email wrapper and use a pseudonym if you want, and then you can start chatting with everybody. While you're on the website, if you click the expandable menu in the top left, you can find a link to start a premium trial. You can find coaching, consulting links, classes, digital downloads. We have some totally free. We have Rise Up merch, including the official morning show mug, and the recommended tools and deals tab. That's got the Marinade link that Alex was talking about. It's got a link you can use to start your DCA journey to auto buy Bitcoin and support the show, and so much more. I often say it because it's true. The only thing missing is you. And if you want to follow Matthew, then where you need to go is over to LinkedIn. He says his future is bright and he's about to finish college. So if you're trying to snap up like a sharp intern who can help you cross bridges and borders and make the complex clear, he's got great analogies. He's got a blue suit. Look at this guy. William Watson, are you watching this? Oh my gosh. And Matthew, I'd love to know if you have an ask for the audience or something that we didn't get to ask you or that you want to share before we go. My friend, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So I don't know what the future is going to hold for me. I don't have anything lined up right now. Still trying to figure that out. But, I've loved getting to, learn about Web3 the way I have. I don't know what opportunities are going to present myself in the future, but I'm just always open to anything. But yeah, as for a final thought, I just want to say to everyone watching that, like, we are so early. So if like this stuff I was saying was like, confusing and you're like, oh, I don't know this, like, man, you still know so much more than so many other people just by the fact that you're here. One of my classes, it's a markets and trading class where my professor is, I'm surprised I haven't heard him before because he is a multimillionaire. He's on IMBD for acting. He pulled up one of his like side Fidelity accounts just to show us that like you don't really earn much. You got to be markets, and it had like $5 million in it. And he's done all this stuff. He's like a pilot, does all this crazy stuff. And he says he doesn't invest. He invests in everything: commodities, real estate, the stock market, everything, currencies. But the one thing he doesn't invest in is crypto. And not because he doesn't think it's real. He just says, I don't know what it is, so I don't invest in it. And I think that just shows how early we are that, this guy's done everything under the sun except for crypto. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. And I think we're early. So yeah, just always stay learning. And yeah, that's what I got to say for sure. And people sponsor the show. I don't know how many times.
The show.
I don't know how many times I got to say it. I don't know. I've been drinking a Red Bull. Red Bull sponsor the show. Everyone, Polygon sponsor the show again. Their shirts are sick. I was thinking, I was like, man, that would be cool to have some.
Yeah.
For them, but yeah, but that's what I got.
Hold tight, ladies and gentlemen. For the first time on the Rise Up Morning Show, in addition to Matthew Wiley, you've got Mr. Martin Mann, my father. They can't hear you, but they can see you. Give him a wave. Give me 5 minutes and I'll be off the air in extra service. Matthew, thank you so much for joining the show today. Thank you for being, and I mean this sincerely, the best part of what we do. And I extend that to all of our friends in the audience. If you are a community member and you want to join the show because you want to share your story, you've got a question you want to ask us on the air, you want to try your hand at replacing Will Watson, then you can sign up for a premium trial right now at rumshq.com and sign up to be on the Rise Up Morning Show today. What the heck are you waiting for, my friends? And if you want more Rise Up, then Rums HQ has got all the links you need to find the show wherever you are, whenever you listen. We can't wait to be back with you live for Rise Up After Dark tonight. And then we'll round out the week with one more live edition of the Rise Up Morning Show tomorrow. Matthew, what do you think? Should we send our dogs and ponies into the sunset? You got a sound effect you want to hear on the way out of here?
Give me something from what William Quigley sound effects do you have? I'm his biggest fan.
Do you know why more people don't sponsor us?
Because they don't fucking have to.
But because you have given us such a glowing testimonial, I know they will.
Garen fucking Teed.
Amen, DJ Quiggs. Amen.
DJ Willie Quiggs. Thank you, Matthew. And thank you, my friends. We got to go. Until next time, everybody, thank you for being the very best part of what we do. We will see you soon. Stay safe. Be well, everybody. Rise up.
Rise up.